Welcome back, my digitally stranded companions. It's your favorite virtual hermit, Forever Alone Fred, coming to you live from my personal echo chamber, a room so full of devices, it's like Best Buy, and my crippling loneliness had a baby. Today, we're diving deeper into the pixelated abyss of digital age isolation. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a wild ride through the information superhighway. And spoiler alert, there are no rest stops for human connection. Now, you might be thinking, Fred, how can we be lonely? We're more connected than ever. Sweet summer child. As the sociologist Sherry Turkle once said, we're getting used to a new way of being alone together. Alone together. It's not just a contradictory phrase. It's the tagline for our entire generation. Let's start with the basics, shall we? Social media, the digital equivalent of pressing your face against a window and watching everyone else live their best lives. It's like we're all starring in our own personal Truman Show. Except instead of trying to escape, we're desperately trying to get more viewers. Remember when Facebook asked, "What's on your mind?" and people actually answered honestly? Now it's more like, what's the most impressive version of your life that you can present? I once saw a post that said, just climbed Mount Everest, cured cancer, and adopted a 3-legged puppy all before breakfast. Blessed Monday motivation. Meanwhile, I'm over here feeling accomplished because I put on pants before noon. But here's the kicker. All this connection is leaving us more isolated than ever. It's like we're all at a giant party, but instead of mingling, we're standing in corners, furiously texting each other about how great the party is. As the philosopher Zygmunt Bauman put it, we're in a state of liquid modernity, where connections are fluid, fleeting, and ultimately unsatisfying. It's like trying to quench your thirst with a diet soda. It might feel good for a moment, but ultimately, you're left dehydrated and vaguely dissatisfied. And let's talk about the illusion of choice in the digital age. We have more options than ever before. Dating apps, social networks, streaming services, but somehow we feel more paralyzed than ever. It's like being in a restaurant with a 100-page menu. Sure, you have options, but you're probably going to end up ordering the same thing you always do, and then spend the rest of the meal wondering if you made the right choice. This paradox of choice, as psychologist Barry Schwartz calls it, is leaving us more anxious and less satisfied. We're constantly wondering if we're missing out on something better. FOMO isn't just a cute acronym. It's the underlying anxiety of our entire generation. We're so afraid of missing out that we're missing out on actually living. But wait, it gets better. Let's dive into the wonderful world of remote work. Now, don't get me wrong, working from home has its perks. Pants are optional, your commute is measured in feet rather than miles, and you can attend meetings without anyone knowing you haven't showered in 3 days. Living the dream, right? Except, is it? We've traded water cooler conversations for Slack channels, in-person meetings for Zoom calls where half the participants have their cameras off. Are they even wearing pants? The mystery haunts me. And after-work drinks for, well, drinking alone while scrolling through Twitter. It's like we're all living in our own personal office space, minus the human interaction, and plus a lot more existential dread. As the journalist Michael Frost observed, we have outsourced our memories to Google, our wayfinding to GPS, and our relationships to Facebook. And now, we've outsourced our work relationships to platforms that turn us all into disembodied voices and floating heads. It's like we're all ghosts haunting the corporate machine. Spooky, right? But perhaps the most insidious form of digital age isolation comes from our constant companions, our smartphones. These little rectangles of doom have become our external brains, our social lifelines, and for some of us, a substitute for human touch. We cradle them, sleep with them, panic when we can't find them. It's like we're all in a codependent relationship with a piece of technology. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes. We're more faithful to our phone notifications than most people are to their marriage vows. Till death do us part has nothing on, I solemnly swear, to never miss a Twitter notification. And don't even get me started on the joy of trying to have a conversation with someone who's constantly checking their phone. It's like talking to someone who's in a long-distance relationship with the entire internet. You're physically present, but mentally, they're halfway across the digital universe, probably liking a meme about how millennials can't afford houses because they spend too much on avocado toast. Speaking of conversations, let's talk about the death of small talk. You know, those little interactions that used to pepper our days, chatting with the cashier, making awkward elevator conversation, commenting on the weather to a stranger at a bus stop. These micro connections, as insignificant as they seemed, were actually vital threads in the fabric of our social lives. But now, we've got self-checkout machines, earbuds that scream, "Don't talk to me," and weather apps that make looking out the window obsolete. We're efficiently eliminating human interaction from our daily lives, one convenience at a time. It's like we're all competing in an introvert Olympics, and the gold medal goes to whoever can go the longest without having to engage in dreaded peopling. The irony is, as we've become more connected digitally, we've become more disconnected from the physical world around us. We're so busy documenting our lives that we forget to live them. We're more likely to know what's happening halfway across the world than what's happening next door. It's like we're all becoming digital citizens of nowhere, floating in a vast sea of information with no anchor to reality. This digital nomadism isn't just changing how we interact, it's changing how we think. Our attention spans are shrinking faster than my will to live every time I open Twitter. We're developing what Nicholas Carr calls pancake people, spread wide and thin as we attempt to connect with the vastness of the internet's information. And let's not forget the echo chambers we've built for ourselves. Thanks to algorithms that show us more of what we already like and agree with, we're increasingly isolated from different viewpoints. It's like we're all living in our own personal Truman shows, blissfully unaware that there's a whole world of diverse opinions out there. We're so busy curating our feeds that we've curated ourselves right into intellectual isolation. But perhaps the most profound form of loneliness in the digital age is the loneliness of not being heard. We're all shouting into the void of the internet, desperate for someone to listen, to understand, to validate our existence. We post, we tweet, we share, hoping for that dopamine hit of likes and comments. But in the end, it's all just noise. As Thoreau said, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Except now, our desperation isn't so quiet. It's just drowned out by the cacophony of everyone else's desperation. So, what's the solution to this digital age isolation? Some might suggest a digital detox, a return to the good old days of face-to-face interaction. But let's be real, the chances of that happening are about as likely as MySpace making a comeback. No, my fellow digital castaways, the key is to find balance. Use technology to enhance your relationships, not replace them. Remember that the number of followers you have doesn't equate to the number of shoulders you can cry on at 3 a.m. And for the love of all that is holy, occasionally look up from your phone and acknowledge the existence of the world around you. Who knows? You might even make eye contact with another human being. Scandalous, I know. In the end, we're all just trying to navigate this brave new digital world. We're pioneers in the wild west of the internet, trying to forge connections in a landscape that's constantly shifting beneath our feet. It's not easy, but hey, at least we're all in this together, separately, in our own homes, probably scrolling through our phones. This has been Forever Alone Fred, reminding you that in the digital age, IRL is just another hashtag. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Or don't. Much like my attempts at genuine human connection, I've learned not to get my hopes up. Stay connected, stay lonely, and remember, in the vast expanse of the digital universe, we're all just ones and zeros, searching for a binary soulmate.